Meanwhile, she's looking at me like she wants to rip my head off because she doesn't want to be. A lot of women call it mansplaining.
Hey, and welcome back to the Smart Couple Podcast. What's up? How are you? It's intense out there right now. Damn. You notice this, yeah? And it might be intense inside your own heart, inside your own mind. And I encourage you to attend to that which is getting triggered in you. Could be fear, could be anger, upset. Our work is to handle ourselves, and if we find an amazing partner, their work is to handle us also, and your work is to handle them also. Handling each other. It's a big job, all right? I was up with my wife last night, fighting a little bit, just couldn't quite get her world. And she was getting frustrated, and then I got triggered, and we're laying in bed and having this process, and finally figured it out. It took us about an hour, and maybe a little less, maybe 45 minutes. And meanwhile, my whole body's going through a lot. You notice this when you fight with someone or disagree, or there's distancing, someone's shutting down. You get activated, and it can be hard to work with that. So the smart person, the smart couple, learns how to work with reactivity and activation in your own body. And you also learn how to work with your partner's activation. This is essential, and you have each other's backs on that, and you stay in the fire, and you hold each other through the tough spots and the tough moments. Okay, this is what's possible. You can have this, and you have to work at it. So two of the best things you can do are work with your own reactivity and learn how to work with theirs, all right? Okay, good stuff here. Really appreciating all your emails that we get. Also, your comments in the Smart Couple Facebook group, your comments in the show notes also are engaging. And of course, on social media, Facebook primarily, and Instagram, the comments are helpful for us. You give us feedback, you cheer us on, you let us know what's working for you, and you bring your questions. So thanks for all that. All right, in this episode, I have a new friend, Bryan Reeves, who is a relationship coach, and he's describes himself as a transformational life and relationship coach, and his mission is to serve the world, one awakened man and one illuminated woman, one thriving relationship at a time. Okay, I really like this guy. He does some great social media posts. If you follow him on Facebook, you're going to learn some things. He's got a master's degree in human relations, organizational dynamics. This guy's story is pretty crazy. He's been in the military. He's gone through a lot. He's traveled a bunch. You got to go on his website and just read my story, and you'll get a kick out of what he wrote there. He's got a couple books: The Sex, Flirting, Dating, Hunting, and Hoping Diet, and Tell the Truth, Let the Peace Fall Where It May. And they're both available on Amazon. And he's really about supporting couples and individuals creating the delicious relationships, the exquisite lives they're aching for. All right. Okay. He's also in a relationship. I think he said for about 1.5 years or so. And he's got lots of relationship failures behind him, like me. So we have a good bond around our former dumbassery in relationships. So I think you're going to like this. What's cool about this episode is we get really practical and tactical. As usual, I always try to push my guests to get practical, specific, and just get things distilled down to a couple takeaways that you, the listener, can have. And Bryan does a good job of that here. So specifically, he talks about the 7 non-empathic responses with our partner. And you're going to get a kick out of these because you probably do all 7. And in your best moments, you don't do 3 of them or 4. But these are really great because having a non-empathic relationship is not really having a relationship. Okay, we must learn empathy. And most of us are empathic. Those of us that are not have just been deeply hurt, and they have a big wall in front of their empathy. So it's a little harder for those folks. All right. And then he also has this great term called connection before correction. And I'll let him explain that. I think you're going to like it. And let's get to it, and stay tuned to the end for your action step. Okay, welcome to the show, Bryan Reeves.
Thank you, Jayson.
Yeah, man. Good to have you here.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, dude, I've been stalking you a little bit on Facebook, and I really appreciate what you put out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on the show, and I'm so curious how you got into helping people with their relationships. I'm guessing you weren't always that on it, like I wasn't.
No. In fact, I really resonate with your story as well, Jayson, about just kind of being clueless for so long, despite having really good intentions around it. Yeah, I'm 42 years exquisite, and I was raised predominantly by women, and I always felt like I have good heart, good intentioned person, good intentioned man, always meant well, but damn, when I tried to do intimate relationship with women, it just never went well. It just seemed like I kept creating mess after mess after mess, well into my 30s. And man, I just decided at age 36 that I just can't be destined to suck at relationships for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And I'm very educated. I have a master's degree in human relations. I was a military officer. Again, I said raised by women. I figured I had, like, why can't I do this?
Yeah.
What the hell am I missing? Right. And so when I was 36 years old and getting out of my last relationship implosion, somebody put a book in my hands, and that book was The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida.
Mm-hmm.
And that just opened up my eyes. That was about 6 years ago, and that turned my world upside down. Perhaps right side up.
Yeah.
And that really began a whole new era of exploration into. I kind of been studying humanity, like what makes humans work, what makes us human, how do we thrive, all of that for years. But no one taught me the polarity dance, masculine and feminine dynamics. No one ever showed me that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the last few years has been really dedicated to serving other couples and individuals to make sense of that.
Yeah, powerful. And was there a moment, or was it more a culmination of many things that had you wake up out of and realize, like, wow, I'm not doing this relationship thing so well? Because the guy thing is to be like, no, I still have it. No, I'm fine. I'm cool here. Even though it's kind of falling apart around you. Was there a moment, or was it a slow burn?
Man, it's been a slow burn. I would say there's been many, many moments of waking up going, okay, I actually don't know what the hell I'm doing here. Because it's so, again, I'm a very intelligent person, very insightful. I've got lots of information. I've got an insightful brain. I'm sure, again, I'm speaking your story, perhaps. I can see shit, but yet, and I'll ride my intelligence to the bitter end until all of a sudden I realize, oh, damn, I actually don't know how to do this. I don't know what's going on here. Right. So that just it happens all the time. It still happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. It still happens in the relationship that I'm in now with this most extraordinary, exquisite, delicious woman. I still think my way into breakdown with her. Right. I think I've got it figured out, and I love her. She'll call me on it sometimes. and it's just amazing. So no, it's a slow burn, Jayson.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Okay, cool. And then you woke up out of the trance and got your shit together. It sounds like, and began. And did someone hand you The Way of the Superior Man? Which, by the way, male listeners, you got to read that book if you haven't. It's kind of an essential male read, especially if you're into growth and development. It's a kind of a classic. So, did someone hand it to you, or did you just stumble across it in the bookstore, or what happened?
I think, well, at the time I was managing a spiritual music band traveling all over the US, and so I met all kinds of interesting characters and people, and I was in California, of course. I'm from the East Coast of the US where we don't have a clue about this stuff. But then I'm in California living with this music band, the spiritual music band, and one of our fans was all into that kind of sexual sacred intimacy, and handed me that book, and among others, and that was the one. Yeah. So man, it's like it just fell out of the sky into my lap. It was really a gift, and as I said, that was just the beginning of a whole new era of exploration for me.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. And okay, so I just want to dive right in because I'm intrigued by your personal story, and I want to encourage the listener to go to Bryan's website. We'll leave that in the show notes and read some of the shit this guy's seen and been through and traveled. I mean, it's pretty insane. So make sure you go read his personal story. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you, as a bit of a relationship specialist now, what do you see out there as one of the big relationship problems? Like what's one of the most common ones you see?
Well, the one that I see the most, and that also impacted, that was in my past relationship experiences, that I was completely ignorant around, and it's this masculine feminine dance. I call it the pull push cycle. And so this is what that book began to open my eyes to, The Way of the Superior Man. And then, of course, all the study that I did but it starts with that core value, the masculine value of freedom and the feminine value of connection. Like these are two opposing values in a sense, at least on the surface. They look like they're in complete opposition to each other, right? Because connection, where we're connected, bonded, is almost, on the surface, it looks like the opposite of being free and independent and unencumbered, unburdened, unbonded, right? And so what happens in intimacy is whichever partner, could be the man, could be the woman, but whichever partner is bringing more of that feminine connection value to the relationship, they tend to express that as the longing to come closer, right? The pull, come closer, do relationship with me, let's connect more. And that might look like text me more, spend more time with me, touch me more, just be closer, let's do things together. I was kind of joking with my girlfriend after the holidays. We just had an amazing holiday together, and spent 8 or 9 straight days together, and on the morning when it was time for us to kind of go back to work, I was really excited to go back to work, and she was resistant. She wanted to just keep doing relationship and being in that kind of mushy, delicious relationship space, and I can see that part of me. It's like, I got work to do, I got outcomes, I got problems to solve, right? That's that masculine freedom value. Like we love to solve problems, to kind of create space between whatever feels burdensome, and we like to break free of that. And so what happens in that pull push dynamic, the feminine partner saying, come closer, come here, and the masculine partner, the more masculine person, is saying, whoa, give me space, get away, back off a little bit, stop burdening my freedom, stop taking my freedom from me. Obviously, those aren't the words we use. They're usually much more caustic and toxic and unfortunate than that. But we have this cycle that then just perpetuates itself, where she's saying, again, could be the guy, but she's saying, come closer. He's saying, whoa, back away, back off, give me my space. And it just turns into this nasty downward spiral, where it also, another layer of this is she starts to say, and feeling his backing away from the relationship, she starts to become critical, and she starts to essentially, it sounds like a complaint to the masculine partner, and what he starts to hear is, you're not good enough, you're not doing it right, you're doing it wrong, you're not showing up, you're et cetera, right? Somehow it says you're not enough.
Which is a big trigger point for the guy. Yep.
big trigger point. Or another way, it's like it triggers his masculine fear of, I'm a fuck up, I can't do it right?
Yep.
And the way he then reciprocates in this cycle is, then he says, whoa, well, you're too much, you need too much, you're too emotional, you're too needy, you're too mean, you're too critical, you're too whatever. So he's then reciprocates by saying, well, basically you're crazy, right? Triggering her fear, right? And so again, it just spirals down until you just have complete disconnection. It's like the masculine partner, in his fear of not being free, he feels completely burdened by the relationship. And in the feminine, and her fear of not being connected, not feeling connected, she feels completely disconnected from her partner.
Yeah, and he's withdrawing further because he's so triggered by her need or desire.
That's exactly right. So it's like this tragic, awful cycle that's just founded in pure ignorance and ignorance of this dynamic. Like, you know, the big epiphany for me through all of this was in realizing, as I look back at my past experiences, and realized that all my ex-girlfriends, you know, I used to marvel at how mad they seemed to be at me all the time. And I never understood, why the hell was I making women so mad so often? And what I realized in retrospect was, because the way that I was showing up, I was triggering. I mean, they were already bringing in this unconscious feminine fear of being abandoned. And because I couldn't see it, all I was doing was reacting from my masculine fear of being burdened, right? But not being burdened with problems I can't solve, right? That's how we tend to look at relationship, or our women, or our feminine partners. Like, God, you just make up problems all the time. You're just making shit up, and I can't solve it, and you're never happy. So again, I'm just going to check out because I don't know how to do this. And you just, right? You just see it. It's just, it's so unfortunate. And so that was my big epiphany, was realizing in the past, as I would look back at moments where I was face to face with a woman who just was acting in these ways that seemed so awful, whether I was being criticized or you know, verbally abused even, or just dismissed myself. Like, just all that was happening was, here was a woman in front of me who was in pain, who felt deeply disconnected. And, you know, I'll never forget, a woman that I dated for a few years told me once, we had a very chaotic, turbulent relationship. And she said to me once, in a moment of lucidity, she said, Bryan, when I'm angry, all I want you to do is hold me. And at the time, Jayson, I thought she was crazy. Right? It's because, like, you're asking me to hold an exploding bomb.
Right.
And I don't want to die. And that's what happens when you hold an exploding bomb. We die.
Right.
And in retrospect, though, now I realize that all she was asking for was connection. Just connect with me. And, you know, in my relationship today, with this woman that I've been with for a little over a year now, when we do have a moment of breakdown, which really just a moment of disconnection, or one of us, usually her first, is triggered, what used to take weeks or months to move through, now we can move through it in minutes. Because I'm practicing, and this is actually a great segue into a tool that I can offer here. But I'm now practicing connection with her. I'm offering connection before correction.
Connection before correction.
Connection before correction.
Okay, unpack that a little bit for us.
And I'll unpack that. And that's something that I learned from the School of Nonviolent Communication. And so again, in the masculine, my allegiance is to freedom, to truth, you know, as we to solving the problem, whatever the problem is. And usually the way that I've been trained and I'm accustomed, like when my woman comes at me with some problem, again, I hear everything through the masculine filter. Everything's a problem to be solved, right? That's the fix-it mentality for most men. And when I hear it that way, all I want to do is solve it. And what happens though is that I'm not connecting with her at all in the problem-solving mindset.
Yeah. You're not meeting her where she's at.
I'm not meeting her where she's at. And this is where the tool of we can call it connection before correction. Another word for it is just empathy. And again, that word empathy, I mean, and I'll just speak for myself, but for most of my life, this word empathy didn't mean anything. I mean, I kind of get it, the dictionary definition of it, but empathy, what's that? And really all it means is, in the intimate dance, it's just offering connection, right? And that could look like, as that one girlfriend pointed out to me, just giving her a hug when she's angry. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because again, I'm sure any men listening to this, maybe even some women that identify more with that masculine value, are kind of thinking, yeah, well, you know what? She is crazy. She does make shit up that ain't true. She does make up problems that don't actually exist. She is seeing something that isn't real and then having an upset about it. And so, right, what am I supposed to do about that? Mm-hmm. Right? I think that's a very common kind of point of resistance for us in more masculine folks. So this tool, connection before correction, and it actually is really helpful to outline the 7 non-empathic responses that most of us usually. So it's the ways that we correct first. And if you're listening, as you're listening to this, I'd really encourage you to just jot these down. This is going to be kind of mind-blowing. It was for me when I discovered this.
Okay, great. Break them down. So
what's not an empathic response? So let's say my partner comes to me with a complaint. And again, every time a woman or a more feminine person has an upset, a more masculine person, like, we hear it as a complaint, right? It's like, what's your problem? You have a problem? Let's solve it. But there's 7 non-empathic responses, and here they are. The first one is data gathering. So let's say my partner comes to me with a complaint. Social media is a good one. Like, a lot of that social media seems to contribute to a lot of relationship challenges these days.
Yeah.
So let's say she saw something on social media, you posted a picture or something that caused her to be upset. God only knows what that might look like for you, but maybe, who knows?
Okay.
And she has an upset. Data gathering means, okay, well, first off, when did you see it? Right? Like, what do you actually, like, tell me more. Like, data gathering is, who was it? What did you see? Why are you upset? Right? Data gathering is essentially saying, I need to evaluate whether or not your complaint has validity.
Yeah, or you're crazy. So let me gather all the data and facts so that I can calm you down through facts.
That's exactly right. So I'm going to gather facts first before, and in the meantime, I'm kind of looking at you like you're crazy until it's like you're guilty until proven innocent here, right?
Yep.
So that's data gathering, and you can immediately just feel, even in the tone of my voice, that that's disconnecting. There's no connection happening there. Yeah. There's just me evaluating whether you have right to exist in the state you're in right now. Okay. Right? That's number one. That's non-empathic. Second one is educating. This is one I'm really good at. And this is, again, non-empathic, because I have a lot of information, a lot of insight. So, if my girlfriend would come to me with an upset, it's so easy for me to go right into, well, in the masculine and feminine dynamic, this is what this is what a more masculine person would be. It's very, what you're going through, woman, is very typical of feminine behavior. And okay, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? I'm educating her. And meanwhile, she's looking at me like she wants to rip my head off because she doesn't want to be. A lot of women call it mansplaining. Right?
Yep.
She doesn't want to be mansplained to. So that's educating. And I'm so good at that. And again, it might even be true what I'm offering.
Sure. And it has a place, but probably not when your partner's upset.
And it has its place. Absolutely, it has its place. But it's not all I want. Anyone listening, all I want you to hear is it's not connecting behavior. It's not a connecting action,
Okay.
right?
Right.
It's correcting. So that's educating. The third one is comparing, right? So again, your partner comes to you with an upset, and it's so easy to say, oh yeah, well, that upsets you. Well, do you know what I have to go through? Do you know what I'm dealing with?
All right.
Right? I mean, you're upset about this. Well, I'm upset that you're upset.
Or, my last girlfriend didn't act like this when this happened.
Exactly. Oh, that's it. Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when you offer that one. So,
See how that goes for
right.
you.
So that's, and
Okay.
again, it might be completely valid, but it's not connecting. It's not a
Right.
connecting response,
It's
right? So
very
that's comparing.
disconnecting.
It's very disconnecting, right? And
Okay.
closely related to that, here's number 4 is one-upping.
All right.
Right, is one-upping, right? And that's, we all know, again, that's just essentially, oh yeah, you think that's bad? Well, Jesus, do you know what I have to deal with? Do you know how you make me feel when
Yep.
you come to me like this? Shit, I mean, now there's a problem. There wasn't a problem a minute ago. Now you brought this up. Now we have a fucking problem, and I'm the one that has to deal with it. And right, again, one-upping.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yep.
Number 5, discounting. Discounting, which basically is saying, you know what? That thing that you're upset about, it's bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. It's not true,
Yeah.
right? What you
Yeah.
think happened, it didn't even happen. You don't know me. It's kind of like saying, you don't know me. You don't know what really happened. You don't know. You don't have all the facts. So don't feel that way.
Yeah. Is this kind of like saying, what's the big deal? Why are you so upset? Is that discounting or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Absolutely. As though your upset should be smaller than it is.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
What's the big deal? Again, it's another way of saying, like, you're too much.
Yeah.
Right? Triggering that feminine fear of being called crazy, of being labeled crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So discounting. The 6th one is explaining and defending. Right? So explaining and defending is, again, just offering, rather than connecting response, it's a correcting response. Again, I'm just explaining, well, the reason that I did this was because shit, I didn't know that you would be upset. Even just that, I didn't know that you'd be upset. And I did it because, I have every right to do this. I have every right to do this thing. I mean, it's like, you're not the boss of me. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm my own man. I can do whatever I want. Or just, I did it for this reason and that reason and this reason. Again, that all may be valid, but it's not connecting.
Yeah. Not at all.
Not at all.
Yep.
And
Okay.
the last one, the number 7th, is just changing the subject. Right? It's kind of like just saying, you know what, can we just talk about something else? Or distracting from, your partner brings something up, she brings up an upset, and you sort of maybe pretend to hear it, and you just, or you just redirect to something else, or you just outright say, you know what, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. Or, hey, look on the bright side. It's sunny out. Let's get outside. Let's try to feel better here. Let's try to get back to our happy place.
Absolutely. It's funny. I do this a lot with my girlfriend. When I travel and I'm going to be gone for a few days, and again, she's she's very feminine. She loves doing relationship and being connected and being in my presence, and likewise, I love doing this all with her too. But if I'm gone like 5 or 6 days, she'll tell me she's going to miss me, and I'll go, oh, it's only a few days.
Yeah.
And she hates it when I do that. I mean, we're playful about it,
Yeah.
but it's like my way. I'm doing a few things in that. I'm discounting her discomfort. I'm even kind of changing the subject. I'm explaining and defending. I'm like doing all of these things.
Right.
I'm educating.
Totally.
Like I'm doing all of these non-connecting behaviors.
Yeah.
Because and it's only arising out of my inability in that moment to just be with the discomfort that's arising, to be with her in her discomfort and her upset.
Yeah.
Right? And so those are 7 of the most common non-empathic correcting behaviors. And again, they all have their place, perhaps, but they're just not connecting. And so what happens is that's how we engage in any of those 7 responses consistently, and we don't realize it, but we're completely offending our partner's feminine sensibility, her feminine value of connection.
Sure. Yeah. So, okay. I love it. I love these 7. These are awesome. So listener, make sure you write those down. These are essential. Rewind that part because if you're a dude, you're probably doing that. And walk us through like just a short
Yeah.
example of what to do instead. Okay, so what is this
Yes.
connection or empathy look like? What's an example? So my woman's freaking out or my partner's upset. What do I do instead?
So it's 2 steps. This is what's easy about this. It's a very easy well, I should say it's simple. Ain't easy, but simple.
Okay, good.
2 steps.
Yep.
And it's simply acknowledge and reassure. So acknowledge simply looks like your partner's upset. Acknowledge her upset, right? And acknowledge just means sometimes it often might require us to take a big deep breath first to just kind of get into our bodies, kind of settle our own upset, because in that moment we tend to get upset ourselves, right? So just taking a deep breath and acknowledging, wow, okay, I see you're upset. And you may not use these words. Sometimes, I'm going to put words on this, but, this can show up in all kinds of different ways. But it's just acknowledging that she's upset. Like, I see you. I see that you're hurting. My girlfriend she'll want me. I don't really have access to this all the time, but if she's crying, it's like she wants me to cry with her. But I'm not that emotional. So that rarely happens. But she does want to know that I feel her.
Yeah.
She does want to know that I'm present with what she's going through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you actually did a great post a couple of days ago, I think, Jayson. She actually showed it to me, right? About guys, look, we just need to get out of our own damn stubbornness and really hear when our partner can really get that we hear her and validate her experience. I mean, that alone right there can end arguments, can completely transform what could otherwise last days, weeks, even years as an argument, by just validating that her experience is valid. And it's subtle here, because again, a lot of us will and I'll speak for myself though, my mind gets afraid that, well, if I validate it, it means I'm saying she's right.
Right. Yep.
And it doesn't mean that.
Mm-hmm.
It just means validating that her experience is okay. It's welcome. She's allowed to be upset.
Yep.
She's allowed to be having the experience she's having. So that's step number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And step number 2 is just reassure. I'm here. I love you. What you're going through right now is welcome. It's okay. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here with you through it. We'll get through this. I fucking love you. You're amazing. And just, it's okay. What you're experiencing is okay. And I love you. So it's acknowledgement and reassurance. And and when you can really offer that sincerely, I mean, again, man, these things can end. We can move through, rather than say end, let's just say move through these triggers, these upset, in 60 seconds or less.
Yeah. Acknowledge.
Like, this can happen so fast.
Totally. Acknowledge, reassure. Whenever I do the 7 myself, I'm now dealing with hours, right? Hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Of shit.
Absolutely.
And so if I can be disciplined enough to do these 2 steps, you're right on the money here. Like, acknowledge, honey, it's going to be okay. I hear you. Wow, what you're going through matters to me. I'm right here with you. That is game-changing material if you can really listen to what Bryan's saying here and practice this.
It's a practice. It's absolutely practice. And I still get stuck in these 7 non-empathic responses, especially. I love educating. I got lots of info. I love it.
Yeah. And sometimes I just see right through it. I know the way, I'm like, oh, honey.
Absolutely.
It's like, honey, you just need to.
Yeah. And it's blissful. Like, you and me, we can have we can talk philosophy again in our masculine. It's like, that's our place of freedom is through connecting through ideas and discovering new ways of seeing and witnessing. And for you and I, that's blissful. But when it comes to that dance of masculine and feminine intimacy, it doesn't work that way.
Yep, totally, man. Okay, Bryan, this has been so helpful, so practical, huge, and I think the listeners going to get a lot out of this.
Awesome.
What is a great next step for them if people want to follow up with you?
So just visit my website. I write about a lot of this. Bryan Reeves, Bryan with a Y, Reeves.com. My website, and I'm really active on Facebook too at Bryan Reeves Official. Every day I write about these. I get some great conversation going on my official Facebook page. But yeah, One Stop is my website. Videos, blogs. I have an audio program, Love, Sex, Relationship Magic, where I dive into all of this. And yeah, man, thanks, Jayson.
Yeah, cool. Great hanging out with you. So folks, will include all that stuff in the show notes. And Bryan, I really appreciate, just another sensitive, strong man putting out the relationship work, helping the people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Likewise, man. This is a really important conversation for men, especially, to be having. So thank you, Jayson.
Yeah, you got it, man. Okay, take care. All right, Bryan Reeves. How about that one? Yeah, I felt like those 7 non-empathic responses were, or you could call them connection killers, were great. They were so helpful. I mean, how many times do you do that, right? So check yourself, write those down, notice that how they impact you, all right? And then from connection before correction, I really liked that. So I think the action step's pretty obvious here. Is we could just say the action step is before you correct your partner, and this is particularly for the more masculine leaning partner, connect before you correct, all right? And I don't even know that I would use the word correct myself because it implies like someone did something wrong. So it's more like maybe it's connect before you offer an alternative, or you offer feedback, or you offer, hey, can I give you a reflection? Or hey, can I make a suggestion, honey? Connect first. And I really, really like that. And then the next action step would be, out of those 7 non-empathic responses, which one do you do the most? That would be the area you have the most growth to do in. And go tell one friend, kind of tell on yourself and be like, hey, friend, I do this one. I correct before I connect. I blame. Whatever the Bryan 7 were, go back, own what you do the most, and call yourself out with a friend. And then commit, say, this is something I want to work on in 2017, or this year. I want to work on this one. All right. Let them know. Cool. Okay. Thanks again, Bryan. BryanReeves.com. That's Bryan with a Y. We'll include that in the show notes. And again, I suggest following him on Facebook as well, because he's got some great Facebook posts. Nice. Now, this interview was close enough to having agreements in your relationship that I'm going to recommend you go download my 1-page PDF on the 10 agreements of an indestructible relationship. Okay. Just go to jasongaddis.com/10A to get that 1-page PDF. Tape it on your forehead, hang it on your fridge, modify it, write it in your own way, and agreements. Okay. One of the agreements is that you're committed to understanding your partner no matter how long it takes you. Okay, that's an agreement I have with my wife. So go check that out, jasongaddis.com/10A, because I think it will serve you. All right, folks. We here at The Smart Couple and the Relationship School are committed to bringing you the tools you need to succeed in a partnership, given that you never got educated on this in your formal education years. My mission is to bring you really good relationship education over and over and over again. Okay? All right. Thanks for letting me be that little bug in your ear, or that little bird on your shoulder. And we'll talk real soon.